This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. Hi, good morning. Today we are into the day 2 of MSBI training. Okay, so today our agenda will be on the SSIS architecture and a simple tour of SSIS, and we'll then start with a simple project with some basic properties which we need to take care. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So for the architecture, so this is the architecture of SSIS. So everything, the task, everything we call it as the group of task, everything we call it as a package. So package is nothing but a group of tasks done over it. And we have above the package, we have an integration run services runtime, which executes this package. So we have your native and managed services. In the managed services, we have widgets which are like pre-built designs and templates for SSIS. And for the native, it's like custom applications where we need to customize on basis of our requirement. Okay, so packages we have the extension like .dtx sx files, and we deploy the packages in two ways. So there are deployments in two ways, like one is the file system deployment, and another is a project deployment. So we can deploy in a two ways, one into integration catalog that we'll see in the later part of this course, how we'll deploy into it. But as of now, we can just remember that we can deploy in a two ways. If we deploy it in a file management system, it will be stored in a MSDB database. So if you remember in the SQL Server database, MSDB database is a default database, master database, MSDB database, they're already pre-built in it. Okay, so there the packages will be stored. And one more option is to deploy the packages into integration services catalog. So that is another option. So we in the task, we can group the task, and we can group the task on basis of their business domains, or on the basis of their calculations. We can group the task, we can arrange a sequence for it, like first this task has to be executed and then the other task. So the dependency, execution, everything we can do it inside the package. So that can be handled in the form of a container. So we have a feature called container, where we have a for each loop, we have a loops for it, for each loop, for loop, sequence container. Those we use it for to maintain a sequence of all the tasks, to maintain a dependency of the task, and to group the tasks. And one more
Okay.
concept is, in the for each loop, we just loop through the task like we do as for while loop, right? In the SQL programming, the way we do for the while loop, the same thing happens in the for each loop also. It just loops through all the files or all the columns or all the records which we give. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
That is called enumerators. And then we have a connection manager. So as last Friday, I've shown you how many types we do have for the connection managers. Then we have event handlers. Event handlers also I have shown you. There are a couple of event handlers to handle each and every event, to log each and every error. We can do it on the task level. And then we have a log provider. We can enable logging separately apart from the event handlers. We have one more feature for log providers. We can say each and every minor detail will be logged here. So everything
Okay.
will see in a different classes. I'm just giving an overview of this. Okay, so we have a data sources, and inside a data flow task, we have the source, transformation, and destination. So data flow task is typical ETL, where we have a source, transformation, and the destination folders. Okay, so this
Okay.
is overview of the architecture. Now, so I'll be telling you each and every task, what does it does. And from tomorrow onwards, for each of the tasks, I'll show you the properties and demo. Okay. Now today, I'll give you just a definition and explanation. From tomorrow
Okay, ma'am.
onward, only on the demo we'll concentrate on it. So what is the real-time properties, and we have to make sure on each and every task. Okay. So here we
Okay.
have a data flow task. As you already done this, a data flow task will have a source, mapping, transformation in the data flow task. In the control flow task, we have many tasks over there. Like we have a data flow task, execute SQL task. There are some bulk insert tasks. So these tasks, the containers, the other tasks related to DBA. So these are all related to DBA, database administration part. So all these tasks comes under the control flow task. So package. So what is a package? A package is nothing but a collection of control flow tasks. So together we call it as a package. And connection manager data sources I've already shown you. DTXS files, MSDB, where it has been stored, like open SSIS. So I closed it. So meanwhile, it gets open. If precedence constraints. So what does precedence constraints means? It means that which task has to be executed first and which task is executed next. The sequence will maintain. So that is called precedence constraints. The dependency of if I want, suppose I have a yeah. So suppose I have a two task. This is task one, this is task two. Okay, so I can have multiple scenarios. If this task succeeds, then only I need to run a task two. So that is one scenario. Like if
Okay.
this task succeeds, I can run task two. And one more scenario it can be there, that if this task fails, then I want to run this task. So even if it fails or even it succeeds, I can put a precedence like this task has to be executed. So those scenarios can be there, and that can be implemented with this feature, precedence constraints.
Okay, ma'am.
So in the control flow task, if we go on each and every task, execute SQL task, as the name suggests, it will execute a SQL statement when whatever we did, whatever we put there in the SQL, like select star from table, select star from a table, join this table, whatever SQL query we can, if we want to execute straight away, we can put it on the execute task, SQL task, and just execute it. So it will
Okay.
just execute a SQL statements, direct SQL statements. So data flow
Okay,
task,
ma'am.
you already know it. Analysis services processing task. So what does this task do? This task will process objects of a SSIS cube. In the SSIS, in the analysis services, will create a cube. Okay. So if I want to query on this cube, so I need to use this task. So I
Okay.
cannot directly use another task. Here I have a separate task for the cube. So if I want to query a cube which is already being created in analysis services, I need to
Mm-hmm.
use this task, analysis services processing task. Okay, so the other one is execute package task. So I have a two packages, package one, package two. Okay, so
Okay.
if I show you, see, I have a two package. Suppose I have, this is one package, this is second package. Okay.
Okay.
I in this package, I want to execute this package also. This is the nesting package type. In this package, I want to execute load XML package. Instead of executing separately, I'm executing this load XML data inside one more package. Then what I'll do, I'll use a execute package task, wherein I'll be asked what is the package name and where it is stored. And if we have a variables, we need to pass over it. So it's just a
Okay.
calling a package inside a package.
Okay.
Simple. Execute process task. So these allows you to call all the .exes wherever we have created a .exes, like if you have a PowerShell script and I want to execute from SSIS. So how do I do it? I need not to write the whatever written in the PowerShell script. I need not to write everything in this SQL separately. I can just take the PowerShell script and then take the path of it, just can execute it from with this task.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just mention here the PowerShell script name, what is the type of the file, like it is a PowerShell, and where it is stored. It will execute that PowerShell script. Not only PowerShell script, any .exe files, I can directly process it from here.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, and file system tasks. So file system task, what does it does is, it creates a files, like it moves a file. Suppose we have a file in one folder. In one folder
Okay.
we have a file, but in while executing my package, I want to put it in a separate folder.
Hmm.
It can be the reason I can move because I do not want to disturb the present scenario. Suppose there is a production environment, I need to take a file from production environment. Okay, but I cannot consider those files as a source in my SSIS, because it will block. There will be a blocking and it will hang out. The system will hang out. So what we will do is, so instead of getting the files from the production, we'll copy those files from the production to a local folder wherever our SSIS we are doing, or in the local server or in the development server. There we will be copying it first, and then we'll take a source of that file into our SSIS. And in that scenario, we'll use file system where we can move files, rename the files. Suppose in the production we have some name, but in my SSIS package, I just want to rename it so that I don't get confused. So that also can be done. It's just in your part I'm doing. So it can be renamed. If I want to rename the files, I can rename it. If I want to delete the files at some source, like after doing processing everything, I want to delete the old file. So I can delete
Okay.
the old files also. And even I can delete even I can create the directories also. If I want to create a directory before before moving a file, I can do that also. So everything related to directory and files, everything I can do it in this file system task.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is FTP task? So this is file transfer. If you remember, like in the production, we will not be able to directly connect or access to the production folders, right? We need to have separate credentials to it.
Yes.
Yeah. So for those credentials, even from SSIS also, we cannot even access those folders directly. So we need a file transfer processing task, or even SFTP task. What it will do is, it will securely access those folders, and then we can do whatever we want to do, the operation, everything we can do it on it. So for this FTP, it is like accessing folder other than your current domain. So if you want to access, we will be using FTP task. Okay, and for SFTP, there is a limitation for it. In SSIS, we cannot access the folders which are in secured SFTP task. We need to have a third party.
Okay.
I'll show third party. We need to integrate a third party tools to access SFTP. Okay, so SFTP, where we have like a simple example I can give you in the web. We have this, we have
HTTP.
this, right?
Yes.
So you know the
Yes, ma'am.
difference between these two.
Yes,
So in
I
the
know, ma'am.
simple way, yeah, in the simple way, FTP in SSIS, I can access this part, whatever there in this part, I can access. But whenever it is secured, it is specifically put it as a secured cage, then I cannot access directly from SSIS. I need to have third-party tools. So third-party tools, we do have a open source third-party tools like WinSCP. Have you heard of it? WinSCP.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, these things are already proven that these will be easily integrate with FTP without any extra cost or anything. Even
Okay.
that a smooth integration will be happening with these tools. So these are all open sources,
Okay.
not at all licensed. So these things you have to you have to take care. You have to keep in mind that whenever like we get a requirement to access SFTP folders. From there, we need to access the files. Then we have to suggest the client that we cannot do it from SSIS directly. We need to have a third-party tools, and there are third-party tools which are open source. We can make use of it. So these things we have to convince our clients. Okay.
Okay.
So script task. So what is the script task? Wherein we'll be writing a C# or Visual Basic .NET code. Uh, the same thing what we write in a SQL. If we are comfortable writing a code, then we can even write a code over it and then just run it. So
Okay.
for the developers who are comfortable in writing a code, like I have a bulk copy. I want to copy a file from a source to a destination which has uh, like 70 lakh records. So 70 lakh
Okay.
records, if I want to do it in a simple way, I can use a bulk copy command, which is there in a .NET code, which is very simple.
Okay.
It just directly gets into the memory and then just copies over it without any validation, nothing. There will be no validations, nothing. It will happen. So if I want to do it in a simple way, we can use a .NET code. And if you are
Okay.
comfortable also, you can use a .NET code.
Okay.
Or else if you have already a company has already a .NET code over it for some business logic, and you do not want to
Mm-hmm.
change it, convert it to another SQL code, so you can just take the code and just put it in the script task as it is and then run it. Okay. And one more is the send
Okay.
mail task. So if I want to notify the users regarding a task, regarding package, if it is running, if it has started, if the package has started running, if as package has failed, or if his package
Mm-hmm.
has completed successfully, everything. If I want to notify user, I'll be using send mail task.
Okay.
Yeah. So here, don't worry. Here, I'm just giving you explanations. From tomorrow, we'll only concentrate on each and every task doing practicals. Okay. Just
Okay, ma'am.
yeah, yeah. So one more before going into the transformations, the task and all, right? So in SSIS, every transformations are done in memory that we need to take care. At some point of time, if we have a servers, if we are given with a server where we have a low memory and we are running a package and doing lot of transformations in it, it may go out of exception error, out of
Okay.
memory exception. So everything that we have to take care. Even if we are only developers, we are not system in like infra engineers, or even we are not DBS, but we need to take care that the SSIS package while executing, it should not go out of memory exception. Why this
Okay.
we have to take care is every transformations whatever we do in SSIS is all in the in memory. So how we can avoid this? So either we have to make sure whatever servers we get, wherever the SSIS is running, the server should
Okay.
have a more memory, dedicated
Okay.
memory for SSIS, and SQL Server also, because whenever SSIS is running, SQL Server also will run. So, so it should be a more memory. So that we need to take care, because in some client, like in some projects, like what clients will be expecting is we have to give them the size of the server we want to have. So at that case we have to tell everything. So they will be asking why we need a more memory server, why it cannot be achieved in low memory. So they'll be asking many things. So at that point of time, whenever there is a requirement of Visual Studio or SSIS, we have to explain them that it can go out of memory exception, and we need to convince them. So these are all real-time scenarios we'll be facing with the clients, because whatever we ask, they will not be giving to us. Okay, we need to
Okay.
justify our ask. Whenever we ask it, we need to justify for it.
Okay, ma'am.
In the SSIS, we have two types of transformation. One is synchronous and another is asynchronous. So synchronous and what is synchronous task? Give me 1 minute. So synchronous have what is synchronous, and as a name suggests, right? If this is a task, suppose this is a task, I'm doing a transformation here.
Okay.
I have two sources to this task. Suppose I have a
Mm-hmm.
two sources. This is source 1, this is source 2. So this is the input for it. And if I want, and if the result set is also two, like here I am getting two sources. Instead of sources, keep it as simple. Let it be a number of rows. Okay, number of records. I have two records.
Okay, ma'am.
I'm inputting into this task, and if I get the output as two records, then it's a
Mm-hmm.
synchronous. And if I'm inputting two records, and if I get other than two,
Mm-hmm.
then it's asynchronous. That means the number of input and the number of outputs are not matching. So in the
Okay.
synchronous, number of input and the number of output is same, and in
Mm-hmm.
asynchronous, number of input is not equal to the number of output. So there are
Okay.
some things we need to take care. Normally it is recommended that we use synchronous. What is synchronous? That is number of input should
Inputs are
equal to,
equal to number of outputs.
yeah.
Yes.
But in the business real-time scenarios, there can be scenarios where I need to use asynchronous itself. Then we have to fine tune that into a synchronous and do the job.
Okay.
It's not that we will never use asynchronous. It's not like that. It is recommended to use synchronous, but we have, in some cases we need to go with asynchronous only. So that purely depends on the requirements what we get from the clients. Okay, so I'll show you what is
Okay.
the differences and what are the drawbacks between them. So you know blocking, right?
Yes,
Blocking.
ma'am.
Yeah. So in the synchronous, what happens normally in the synchronous, what happens is whenever in the synchronous number of input and number of output are same, so it uses the same buffer. Same buffer, whatever is in the input, it uses the same buffer for the output as well in the synchronous.
Okay.
But asynchronous, what happens? The output of an asynchronous component uses a new buffer every time, because in the input the number is different, in the output the number is different, so it uses a different buffers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is more fine-tuned one against this, and normally the synchronous are more faster than asynchronous.
Okay.
So synchronous, if I categorize into non-blocking, semi-blocking, and full blocking, synchronous is comes under non-blocking. It never blocks any table, any packages, any task, nothing. But asynchronous
Mm.
can block some of the packages, some of the task, and even can put a full blocking on the tables, full blocking on the task.
Okay.
Yeah, and here this is also important. In the asynchronous,
Ma'am,
what happens is,
ma'am,
yes,
most of the cases we need take the input from two tables and the output is only one. In that case, it's asynchronous, right?
no, that, so I'm talking of here the transformations. I'll show you what comes under
Okay.
synchronous and what comes under asynchronous. Like we have a merge. I'll show you what is merge.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Okay.
So synchronous, here in this case, we need to read full input, all the records in the input, and then we can output.
Mhm.
So that happens only
Okay.
in synchronous, not in synchronous. In the asynchronous, what happens? It has to read all the input records and then it will output the records one by one. So that is also, that is why it takes
Okay.
merge, right? I'll show you merge, split, join. I can show you one more thing. I'll show you while doing this, okay? What happens in the merge, it just merge the columns into one. So this comes under synchronous, sorry, asynchronous,
Ma'am, ma'am,
okay?
I have
Sorry,
small request, ma'am.
yeah,
Actually, I have one meeting, ma'am. It's an important meeting.
okay.
Can you please continue this class in any time in the day, in today?
Any time in the day, okay. Yeah, I'll put up a mail then because I also need to see the calendar, check the calendar, right? Or evening, it is
Okay.
fine, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, anytime it's fine. Uh, s-
8 o'clock in the evening.
except 6:30. 8
Sorry,
o'clock?
in the evening.
It's a Monday. Yeah,
Or
okay, ma'am. Fine.
yeah, 8 o'clock evening is
It's
the
a 8
fine.
o'clock means night, ma'am. Night, 8 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Is it fine then? Okay.
Okay,
Okay
ma'am.
then.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry. I
Yeah,
have
it's okay.
actually, it's an important meeting, ma'am. That's why.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Attend it. Okay. Bye.